3, go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Complete Morning Brief. Tone had to entertain you guys the whole last week by himself, which was a crazy week. And
with the worst possible internet in the world.
Worst internet, worst price action, and it shows you that Bitcoin never sleeps, Bitcoin is never down, Bitcoin doesn't know any holidays. Some crazy news, so we're going to try to catch up a bit on the most important thing that happened this week, and we're going to go right into with a positive story. Some politicians who actually know what they're doing, their names are the representatives Polis and Schweikert, who are lobbying for a bill which would actually exempt small Bitcoin and crypto transactions from taxes, because right now you have to pay taxes even if you, let's say you bought Bitcoin at $1 in 2012 and now you buy a cup of coffee, you have to pay tax on it. So they want to do away with it. Jimmy.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. Transactions under $600 would be completely exempt according to this bill. I'm really hoping that this goes through and more bills like it, and we need more Congress people, I guess, to support this sort of thing. I think there's a caucus called the Blockchain Caucus, and I'm hoping that caucus grows. I don't know. Maybe we need to throw some of our newfound wealth around politically for this sort of thing. I have no idea.
I think you should run for office, Jimmy.
I hate politics a lot as it is. I don't think this would be a good place for me.
I know, I have the same problem. Plato once said that the problem of not going into politics is you will be governed by your inferior. And there's a lot of wisdom in that. Tone, what do you think?
Yeah, that actually is a lot of wisdom in that. And the problem is, like when you just said throwing your wealth around, there is a lot of wealthy Bitcoiners that are on the wrong side these days, which kind of, also creates a bit of a problem here. But yeah, no, this is good. I mean, this was one of the things that I was very adamant about, that it was completely insane when that initial law on taxes came out. Currencies have a $600 exemption on transactions that do not include any kind of capital gains or, basically profit or loss from currency fluctuations. And but however, just keep in mind that if you're charging $500 for your services, that's still income, right? So if you're charging $500 in Bitcoin, that's still taxable as income. The difference is that if you go and then spend that $500 a week later, it doesn't really matter whether it went up and down as far as tax purposes are concerned. So, but you do get taxed on it at the point of getting that amount. Okay, so no, this is good. There's actually two things in that bill, and the other thing is also what I've been saying in forever, especially recently, is that they want to mandate that companies like Coinbase do the accounting for you on your trades, the way traditional brokers do, right? Basically, at the end of the year, Coinbase will send you a report, or all exchanges will send you a report saying, hey, this is how much money you've made, or this is how much money you've lost, minus the transaction fees. So this is your profit or loss at year end cumulatively. That's pretty much, that's the other thing that they're pushing for, which is good. But again, you're still going to run into a problem. How does Coinbase classify the withdrawal of your Bitcoin from Coinbase? Is it classified as you're withdrawing it into fiat or not? And I'm going to continue to say that they're going to classify it as you withdrew it into fiat, even if you put it to your Trezor, because defaulting to the other way becomes a much bigger problem for you personally in the future.
Yeah, that's a big issue, because essentially that's the same as if you have money in your brokerage account. Let's say you bought a stock, you made $10,000, and you have to pay tax on that, and then you withdraw those $10,000 to your bank account. Obviously, you don't have to pay tax on that. But with crypto, because once it's off the exchanges, it's somewhat out of the hands of the government and the banking cartel. That could cause you some trouble once they go after you.
Right, because the difference is you can't actually withdraw your Apple stock from the exchange. You kind of you can request that Apple stock as paper stock. I guess if you go through the right paperwork and the right channels, you'll get that stock. But the big difference is that stock has actually your name on it. That stock is not a bearer asset. And I'm not sure how exchanges classify that. Do they classify that as a sale off of the exchange and then you pay taxes on it or not? I'm actually not sure. Somebody might want to Google that. But even if they don't do it that way, you hold on to your stock, it's not a bearer asset. It's a registered asset, which is very, very different than Bitcoin. Can't compare them.
So taxes are still going to be a hot mess. Maybe we should do away with all of them completely. Until that happens, we have our two representatives, Polis and Schweikert, at least fighting for similar circumstances as they have, I think, in Australia and Japan, where Bitcoin will be treated as a currency and some spending gains are going to be exempt. Next story, we all know about BitPay. They were big at the beginning, facilitating transactions for Bitcoin, but recently with the scaling debate, they have gone to the side of Bitcoin Cash, and they've not implemented SegWit, intentionally slowing down the network. So now a core developer has programmed a different version which doesn't support Bcash, but supports SegWit. Jimmy.
Yeah, this is Nicola Dorier's project. He basically was upset that BitPay was doing what they were doing, mostly going towards Bitcoin Cash and basically signing the 2x agreement and everything like that. So he made a one-click install for Azure users, so you can become your own payment processor, which is amazing. It supports SegWit. You can more or less he's given you a one-click way to compete with BitPay. That's pretty amazing. I'm really excited that this is coming.
Did we lose Jimmy, or
I think so, yeah.
is it me?
There. No, it's Jimmy.
I'm here. Hello, can you hear me? All right. My internet's been a little bit weird lately, but can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're back again.
Yeah,
yes,
okay. So I'm excited about this because this is a one-click way to go and compete with BitPay. And a core developer did this in like a couple of months, which is kind of amazing compared to all the infrastructure that BitPay had to build. All you really need to do, they have Lightning on the way eventually, and so I think this will be really good.
Damn, amazing! Yeah, Jimmy, you're breaking it. It's crazy. I'm in Medellin, Colombia, and the internet here is actually really good, like compared to where I was before this. It's
in Jimmy's hands.
Sorry. I have some serious lag, I think. Yeah. Well, I have really good upload time right now. I don't know what's going on.
All right. Well, hopefully I'm back on my channel.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Should be good.
I can see this little. There's a little.
Yep. We're good. We're back. Yeah. So the side note that I was gonna say before we had actual issues is that my followers are saying I have a bit of an echo. So I think Jimmy, you might want to mute if I'm speaking. That's what is probably causing it.
Okay. Let me put on my headphones. All right.
So back to this story. So look, BitPay is a wholly owned subsidiary of Bitmain. So it's not surprising that they have absolutely no interest in promoting Bitcoin. They're all about the Bitcoin Cash. Now, the thing with what Nicolas Dorier did, like, I don't understand, how is it different from like a Bitcoin wallet?
This is a merchant payment processor. So it's like a one-click way to do payment processing. So you can set it, like he's written all of the code and the API is completely compatible with BitPay. So if you want to compete with BitPay, you can use his software and do it.
Right. But he doesn't have a link to a bank, right? So
you as a competitor to BitPay would use his software But you would need to go and get some relationships with banks and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So I thought the people, merchants would just like add his software to the thing.
No, it's a competitor to BitPay.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty useful. But again, any business can just use their own Bitcoin wallet and have their own node as well. But yeah, no, BitPay is terrible. I'm not even sure who's more terrible, BitPay or Coinbase. Like, and these are our two biggest payment processors, and I really don't know which company I dislike more. It's a really tough competition right now between the two.
Okay, so some more competition, some more innovation again coming from Core. Let's skip to the next big innovation that's coming from Core, and that's the Lightning Network, and that is hopefully going to solve all the scaling issues ever, right, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know if who knows, right? Like, I'm still waiting, but I think it's very promising. This little video here, you can see that it gets sent like right away, and everything is delivered and settled within the Lightning Network really quickly. There's been a lot of FUD going around about Lightning, saying it's not real, it's an IOU system or something like that, and it's not. It's final because you can settle on the chain anytime you want. It would be an IOU where the IOU is actually cash or something like that, or like the IOU, like the debt instrument is actually the cash itself. So that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this is a pretty cool little thing. You can send a Lightning transaction. It's we just need to be a little more patient here, and we can get the medium of exchange property in Bitcoin really easily.
Before we go to Tone, I think we have a bit of time, and let's discuss one issue about Lightning that you mentioned. I think that the opponents, they say it's going to be banks, the so-called hubs, and they're going to be like banks. But in my understanding, it's not going to be like that, because it's not going to be fractional reserve, and you can check the balances of those hubs, which basically then makes it irrelevant whether they store large sums and have connection to a whole lot of people. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, if they open the Lightning channel, they have to do it on chain. So you have to show proof that you have the money, and that's the only way you can transact on the Lightning network. So it's not fractionally reserved at all, and it's completely secure. Like if you're sending money to another party through the hub can't say, like, they don't even know who you're sending to, or who you're ultimately sending to. So it's fine. The only thing that you might lose a little bit of is privacy, which for coffee is totally fine for small amounts. If it's a larger amount and you want complete anonymity, that's you should use something else. But this is meant to be sort of a day-to-day, coffee on the blockchain kind of thing that everyone's been talking about, or Bitcoin Cash people seem to fetishize. You can get that, and there's no risk whatsoever because it's completely provable.
So when you say provable, there's no way that somebody can come to me and deposit money into my account that didn't exist before, like with fractional reserve.
Yeah, it's all actual Bitcoins. It's not like creating any money out of thin air or anything like that. It's hard money.
What do you think about that, Tone?
Well, I agree with that. And even if we don't go that far, right, I think the majority of the people understand that it's not going to be a fractionally reserved system. I think the main concern is, and this was the big FUD, that over time, I mean, again, they're saying that, well, the fees on Bitcoin, on-chain fees on Bitcoin will continue to rise and rise and rise. And over time, there will be less and less incentive to close these Lightning channels on chain because of the high fees. And therefore, not only is there less incentive to close these channels on chain, the only organizations that will have the ability to close these channels on chain will be the big banking institutions. So that's the big concern, is that all of these Lightning channels, like the opening and closing, will only be controlled by the big banks. While in the middle, everyone is like processing, but it's never officially settling on chain, which is potentially a concern. But here's the thing, though. It may be a concern, but it's still the best possible solution, because raising the block size centralizes the actual protocol, as opposed to coffee transactions on top of that protocol, right? So you'll always be able to open your own Lightning channel. You'll always be able to make on-chain transactions. And if those transactions are like SegWit transactions, like the most optimized version of SegWit, then it should be okay for the next 5 to 10 years. And who knows, maybe there'll be another Peter Willard that will come up with an upgrade for SegWit that will make it even less data intensive in order to stick more data into a 1 megabyte block. Who knows what the future is as far as that's concerned. But this thing that Bcash is doing, first of all, Litecoin is doing it better. And in a recent video, someone went back and took a look at, okay, let's see, how much were Bitcoin's on-chain fees when Bitcoin was doing the same amount of volume as Bcash is doing today. And that came out to be significantly cheaper per transaction than you're paying for Bcash right now. So what does that tell you? That tells you that if Bcash took over all of Bitcoin's transactions right now, the fees would probably be even higher than you paying right now with SegWit transactions.
So let's recap here real quick. 2 important points. Yes, there is a possibility of centralization on the Lightning Network. However, very important, no fractional reserve banking. And let's be very clear, centralization at some points is okay. And banking services are also okay. As long as the banks don't have the usury, the right to lawfully print money, but amorally print money where nothing existed, they can centralize all they want as long as I voluntarily give them my money, and then I say maybe, okay, they lose it. I lost $100 that I had in that account. Who cares? As long as my Bitcoins are safe on the main chain.
Right, and also I can guarantee you that there'll be at least one significant Lightning channel that is focused on private transactions and mixing within the Lightning channel. There'll be so much demand for that. Sure, you can use your banking's Lightning channel if you want, but I guarantee you there'll be plenty of Lightning channels with confidential transactions built inside of them to give you even more privacy than something like Monero.
Well, so the way that works is basically you sort of still have to trust that node to not log anything. And it's hard to prove a negative, so it gets difficult on that. I think maybe what you might be thinking is having a side chain that has a Lightning network in it. And with confidential transactions there, and you can settle on chain with the confidential transaction, but you still have the Lightning network. So something like you could utilize something like that to make that work.
Yeah, perhaps, but I guarantee you, like for example, if Pirate Bay is running a Lightning channel, right? Like or let's say like a Proton Mail, right? Or a VPN service, right? Like if a trusted name in privacy that's been around for like 10 years and they're trusted to provide people privacy, if they're running one of these Lightning channels, it's a pretty good probability that they're not going to be logging in.
Yeah. So if one of these players wants to be a hub, certainly there'd be a huge market for it, and maybe they can charge a little bit. Usually, I think the amounts that you get as a Lightning hub is like 1 or 2 satoshis per transaction or something like that. Maybe they can charge 2 or 3, and it gets anonymized through them.
Yeah, and also, hey Jimmy, we're gonna have to do like a whole show about side chains, because I think a lot of core devs even though the side chains paper came out of Blockstream, most of the core devs that even some of them that were responsible for helping to put that paper together are no longer big fans of that project, I think.
Yeah, certainly there needs to be more discussion and more detail. So we just talked about one aspect here. Jimmy, do you have anything to add?
No, we should keep going.
Yeah, because Peter Todd and Paul Storz have been going at it on Twitter. We should probably bring that up soon.
I haven't read through all of that. I think there's a bunch of frustrated people. I'm pretty sure there are people that are pretty supportive of drive chains still, that are at Blockstream, for example.
So maybe Tone and Jimmy can do a fireside chat, a couple hours talking about the Lightning Network. We're gonna move on with the next. Next one is the failed fake SegWit 2x confusion. Where basically I was yesterday, somebody sent me a message and said, "Hey, what are you gonna do about 2x?" I was like, "Wasn't that canceled?" And then he was like, "No, that's happening now." I was like, "What, really?" And then I did a bit of research, and it turns out that yes, there is a SegWit 2x fork, except for it's not done by any of the people who wanted to do the original 2x fork and who lent it credibility. So now we have a bunch of people who just forking off with 2x. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're going to do. And that's basically how the price reacted.
Well, Yop Terlo is the name of the guy. I've never heard of this guy. But that's the person behind the SegWit 2x hard fork. It apparently forked yesterday. I haven't heard too much about it, but you can see that the futures price has apparently gone to $287 or something like that. It did go all the way up to like 1,000 a couple days ago. But yeah,
that's when people still thought Jeff Garzik was behind it. The original 2x was coming back.
Yeah, and according to Jeff Garzik's Twitter, somebody offered him money for the SegWit 2x domain, and he's like, "Gee, I wonder who." So I don't think he's behind it at all or supportive of this project.
So, Tone, do you think this will get any sort of time from the Trezor and Ledger developers, or it's just going to be bypassed like Diamond or whatever?
I don't think so. Didn't this happen already? Wasn't it supposed to be the 28th?
Yeah, the fork happened yesterday. I haven't seen any of the actual blocks or anything. Nobody's come.
Right. Is there a single exchange that trades it?
Why, or is there even a wallet that that can get these coins? I don't know. They might have frozen yesterday, and they might release the I think there's supposed to be a giant pre-mine, so they might be in the middle of pre-mining.
It's a joke. It's just a joke. I mean, the only way these forks actually take off is if you have a pumper. I mean, you need a pumper with 100,000+ Twitter followers that can get these minions, all riled up. I mean, Bitcoin Cash obviously had several of these people, and even like Ethereum Classic had these people, right? Like Charles Hoskinson and what's his name? Barry Silbert, and Bitcoin Golding has a few of you like Jack Lau. I mean, he runs a whole ATM network out of Hong Kong. I mean, he has a pretty big following. A couple of other guys that were supporting that as well. So you really need some, pumpers in order to get people going. This one doesn't have any of that, so I'm not expecting much.
They have 6,000 followers on Twitter.
Well, there you go.
So isn't that amazing that shows you the futility of these forks, where somebody can just hijack the name and then say we're going to do it anyway?
Yeah,
that's the point. I mean, that's how Bcash got started, right? Bitmain wrote a paper about the ABC, supporting if under certain conditions, like if SegWit doesn't get approved, this is what they would do, and then Via BTC goes ahead and does it with full backing of Bitmain, right? So it's how these things happen. You float the idea, and then someone else says, "Hey, if I can make a buck, I'll do it."
Good. So next time you're gonna go to Ukraine, next story, Tone is gonna be very careful, and he's gonna hire some bodyguards, because this guy, the head of a UK crypto exchange, he was in Ukraine and he got kidnapped. So, guys, if you have more than one Bitcoin, be careful.
Yeah.
I have less than one Bitcoin.
I sold all my Bitcoin. Yeah. So this guy is yeah. I don't know if people knew who he was, or are kidnappings that common in the Ukraine? I don't really know, but if somebody knew who he was and then targeted him because he was the chief executive of a Bitcoin exchange, that's pretty scary. And
Yeah, Tone, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I lost Jimmy for a minute again, and I lost my feed. Damn it!
Yeah,
Jimmy dropped out again.
Yeah, it's sorry.
Damn it, Jimmy.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's coming back up.
All
right, what is going on with my freaking internet? Ugh.
It's the IRS hacking into your computer.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
So to be clear, that guy, he was...
And one of the guys asked the host the question. He's like, hey, so do the bodyguards you're hiring me, do they speak English? He goes, yes, they do. They know 2 words, go and stop. Yeah, no, this is a problem. This is a big problem. Again, I was just in Brazil where another person was kidnapped, but they were able to, get him back with a big, law enforcement effort. Yeah, no, this is going to be an issue, especially for crypto. Now, the problem happens is this, like if the government wants to demonize Bitcoin, then they're not really protecting its entrepreneurs and its smart people. And these smart people are going to get kidnapped. Now, if you're willing to accept Bitcoin, and then, yeah, the criminals you should be going after are, the criminals that are kidnapping the CEO, not the CEO himself, which, with 1 or 2 laws, the CEO himself becomes a criminal. So you want to protect these guys. I mean, they're creating value. Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. And I telegraph where I'm going all the time, so I should probably not do that. Hello from Medellin, Colombia, right? Yeah, let's see how this works out. I'll be nervous when I go to Venezuela next year. I need to try to get a visa for that. That'll be rough.
Venezuela, you have to be very careful. I had a friend who was kidnapped there once, and that was before Bitcoin.
Oh,
so
boy.
maybe if you do some nice price analysis, they let you go. So why don't we go ahead and talk about price?
Oh yeah, awesome. All right, let me grab the screen share back here. Perfect. All right, screen share. Yeah, people in my chat have been antsy a little bit about that. Here's my website. Let's, oh yeah, my seminar. The seminar, since I happen to have the page. Seminar in Singapore is in about 2 weeks. 12 seats remain, guys, 12 out of 20. 8 people have already paid for a seat, so you got about 12 seats left. Scroll down to the bottom of this page to find out how to get in contact with me. Please read the Learn Trading section, which will help you understand my trading style, and most importantly, the indicator that I generally talk about came to be known as the random number generator indicator, which is explained in section number 6. Nothing really going on Twitter, and let's go ahead and discuss the price. So the weekly is still in bullish territory. We are on the green 4 of on a weekly chart. We're looking for a 9. Now, keep in mind that according to this indicator, a bullish entry into the market happens when the price of candle with a 2 on it starts trading above a candle number 1 on it. And you will notice that technically you are in a losing position. So even on a weekly chart. So as a trader, you need to make the decision, right? As you enter this trade at approximately $16,500, and the price hit just under 20,000, Do you want to take some profit or not? That's your decision. Do you want to set a break-even stop loss at that point? That's your decision, okay? My advice would be the initial stop loss should have been below the entry candle, which is way down here. Once a new week had begun up here at around 19,000, the stop loss gets at the least, if you don't want to set a break-even loss, at the least you raise it to the bottom of the entry candle. So that means that you would have already gotten out of this trade with a loss, and it's up to you if you want to get back in, because the next candle might struggle to give you a green 5, and the candle after that might struggle even more because it'll have to close above the all-time high. But the weekly chart is technically still bullish even in a losing position. The daily is where the interesting thing happens. On my video yesterday, I talked about a no trade zone. The no trade zone is fully in effect, okay? I don't know if I can pull up the image, but one of my followers actually put it up on TradingView. Maybe I'll do it today. Maybe I'll put in my no trade zone, but it's basically between either the close of these two candles right here on the 26th and the 27th, or the high of those candles. It's up to you. And on the flip side, it's pretty much the yesterday's intraday low, or even like this cluster here, right there on the intraday lows, or these closing lows, right? So somewhere in here is your no trade zone, and you're waiting for this triangle to break one way or another. I don't know which way it's going to break, but I'll be watching. Let's see. The green numbers are also same thing as the weekly, right? Technically, you had a bullish trade right here, which is now in a losing position. So it's up to you. Do you want to hold on to it? Do you want to cut your losses? Do you want to wait for a price flip? That's up to you as a trader. The 4-hour chart was a really interesting one because you did have a sell indication here, though we went a little bit higher, but this was so different on so many different exchanges. Once we started going down, you had a 9 buy right here, but your 9 buy was in the middle of a weird daily period. And what do I always say about these 9s? The most likely outcome is a 1 to 4 day reversal followed by continued downside. So we had 1, 2, and then half of a third candle going higher, and now we're starting to go down. Let's see how this 4-hour candle ends in the next 20 minutes and how the next one begins. I mean, can we get a 9 to the upside? But just like this daily, we're starting to consolidate into a point. So let's see which way this triangle can break. And finally, here is the hourly. No, it's actually a Litecoin. I don't know why I pulled that up. It was earlier today. So here's the hourly. Now, the hourly is interesting, right? If I switch exchanges, there's probably a 9 here on some exchanges because the moment this candle started, this was a 9 sell, which would have been a perfect sell signal, right? This got as far as an 8 and is already reversing. You had the death cross on the hourly. The golden cross didn't do much back here. So the hourly is kind of, again, everything is consolidating until year end. You know, people are taking a break. I mean, New Year's is coming up this weekend. I mean, take a break from trading, guys. Enjoy life for it. That's pretty much it. There isn't like anything like this is the week for me to take a break from the price analysis stuff. But I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about it some more.
Yeah. Let's see if you get your wish, Bitcoin. Tone, I thought granted, this is really a 24/7 market. So yeah, that's it from us for today. But we will be back tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.